This episode of Twin Cities Trekkies is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor before, let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that help you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership required. They'll also help you to distribute your podcast so it can be heard on many different platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's all you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 36 of Twin Cities Trekkies. I am Wes.
And I'm Kenzie.
And today we're going to talk about Picard Season 2. This is going to be predictions number 4. Because, you know, it's crazy. I think Paramount Plus is trying to bank very heavily on Picard. Like being more bang for your buck. Because that's 4 trailers.
I know. And every trailer, it's like there's even just there's more and more stuff being included. So
yes.
Every time, that's why we've done each of these, because each time it seems like there's something new and something important that's being hinted at. So it's getting exciting.
Totally, yes. And it's 4 trailers in 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. You know, I mean, we haven't even gotten anything for at this point, we haven't got anything for Strange New Worlds.
I know, that is completely, I almost forgot about that, honestly. I know I was trying to like read up on just like latest Star Trek news, and then saw like a headline of like people wondering what it's going to be about. And I'm like, oh yeah, because that's happening. But I guess we kind of forgot because everybody's focusing on Picard now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Picard Season 2 predictions, take 4. This would probably be the last one before the season premieres. So
unless they randomly release another super fantastic trailer.
Yeah, between now and we'll talk about in the news section about the when it will premiere and stuff like that. And the other great Star Trek news coming out lately. There's a lot more than just Picard coming out this year. So I think Paramount Plus is trying to bank very hard on Picard this time around. I mean, they were trying. When Picard premiered in 2020, it definitely generated a lot of buzz for all CBS All Access, because that time it was CBS All Access.
Yeah,
it
pulling
was
in a familiar face that so many people like in the Star Trek series, that I think that was like a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you know, it was. I remember the announcement. I remember the announcement back in 2018 for when Stewart showed up at Star Trek Las Vegas and announced that he was coming back. I mean, I do remember all those reactions. I remember listening to an episode of Trek FM's Earl Grey that came out like roughly about a few hours after the announcement. And they had a lot of their hosts who were there, including one who actually was quite frankly in tears that Stewart was coming back as Picard. They're no longer none of the hosts who did that episode are no longer with Trek FM. So yeah, but they back in 2018 that's what they did. So they're no longer with Trek FM. They're with the United Federation of Podcasts now. So which is another Star Trek podcast network. So they came out with that episode. I remember that very well. I remember that vividly. I remember it was a host who just pretty much was crying and while he was talking about it, and he was in tears that Stewart was coming back. So and stuff like that. So I mean, because they were excited we didn't know what it was going to be about. None of us knew it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then just seeing like the journey it's taken too is just kind of mind blowing. So
yes, totally. It's crazy that, you know, we're actually 2 years later, almost 2 years to the day. So we'll get another season of Picard, which, you know, granted, if COVID hadn't happened, it would have happened last year.
Yeah.
So if COVID hadn't happened, but they were filming it last February. Yeah, so to get in touch with us is simple. Send us an email at tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send us an email with any feedback. Granted, we've already had one already from our good friend Jim McMahon. So shouting you out there, Jim,
Yeah,
again,
thanks, Jim.
So feel free to send us an email with anything you'd like to say. If you have a long-winded email, we can definitely read the whole thing and stuff
We'll
like
try to
that.
read
Maybe
it
the whole
without taking any breaths. We'll see how long we can both get in.
Yeah, it'd be like a soliloquy, in a Shakespeare play, and stuff like that. But you can also reach us out on Facebook and Instagram. The handle is TC Trekkies Pod. Been very active on the Instagram feed, so with our episodes and other sorts of things. Like the other day, it was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. I had to definitely say something about that because it's been 77 years since Auschwitz was liberated.
Yeah.
So definitely have to say something about that, and hopefully that never happens again in human history,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, and other things as well. We still have. I know I've been trying. I mean, I've been thinking about trying to reach out to other Star Trek podcasters and other things as well. I did make a note of it in our Instagram feed, so if any of them are listening or watching or looking at it and saying like, "Oh, okay, we'll reach out to you," all right, or we'll reach out to you. So and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's
Our
still
people
ongoing.
will talk with your people.
Yeah, exactly. And then my hope is that if we reach out to them and be on our podcast, that the return, we'd be on theirs. So
yeah, we'd obviously want to reciprocate.
Yeah, that's one thing about podcasting is that we're all a community. It's like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Stuff like that. So yeah, so that's still ongoing and stuff like that. So yeah, and this month is our 1 year anniversary. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
Time
we
flies.
definitely are planning a 1 year anniversary episode. So that will happen in a few weeks and stuff like that. So that would be great to talk about like how we felt over the past year doing this podcast. All the things that we did and stuff like that. We definitely put it in perspective and review.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that any feedback you do leave, vocal or written, may be featured in a future episode of Twin Cities Trekkies. All right, we got some exciting news across all of Star Trek, the Star Trek universe, on Paramount Plus and other things as well. So, well, first of all, we can talk about the premiere dates of every single show.
Yep.
First of all, Star Trek Discovery has been renewed for a 5th season. So I am eating virtual crow and saying that I was wrong. Saying that Discovery Season 4 was going to be its last, and it will. The one thing that's different than this season, is that the season will be shorter. Yeah. So this year, Wilson Cruz on a Star Trek Discovery Facebook group. It's one of the biggest ones on Facebook, actually. It's he is actually a member of the group, and he came out. There was a post there on the group, the fan was kind of disappointed that Discovery was on a hiatus, mid-season hiatus, and Wilson Cruz had put his own thoughts on that thread, saying like, it was a big thread. It was like over 100 comments. I looked at it. I mean, I'm not a member of that group, but I looked at it. And he said that it was due to the pandemic that the reason why they're splitting it up into 2 parts was because of COVID, and the production went longer than they expected because they had started filming last November and it just finished last August.
Yeah.
I mean, November of 2020 and ended in August of 2021. So I should say that. So it was a long production schedule and stuff like that for the cast and crew. Obviously, they had a pause in the middle of it because of a close contact that tested positive for COVID-19. So and stuff like that. So
yeah, that always throws it for a loop.
Yep, exactly. And we found out from him that the season will run 13 episodes, which is probably a Netflix kind of thing, but but that's what happened. Was this season's gonna be 13 episodes. Season 5, which is expected next year, will be 10 episodes, which is roughly about the equivalent of the rest of the shows on Paramount Plus for Star Trek, which is more in line with what they were gonna do, is 10 episodes a season. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people complain about that, how short the seasons are, but then if you watch any of the Blu-ray documentaries on Next Generation or Enterprise on Blu-ray, if you own the Blu-rays for the Next Generation and Enterprise, you see a lot of people complain about how long the season was when it was 26 episodes a year. And you hear all the time from people like Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis saying like it was grueling. It was hard.
It's hard to catch up as somebody who did not watch right away. It's a lot to take on to suddenly play catch up and watch, which I think a lot of people, if they weren't with it the whole time, will have to like jump in. And I think that's something that can be a little intimidating about the series, is like you are signing up to do that much.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, that's what happened. It's gonna be 10 episodes for season 5, and it's been renewed for another season. So I definitely am eating virtual crow. And the subject of today's episode, Picard Season 2, we do know for sure when it will premiere, March 3rd on Paramount Plus, which means since Discovery Season 4 is 13 episodes, we'll have overlap for 3 weeks. So when it comes back from its hiatus, so which is on the 10th of for Discovery, and yeah, so March 3rd. So it did get pushed back. We kind of expected it would be in March. So after the whole mid-season hiatus and stuff like that, Amazon Prime Video is carrying the show. They will air it on March 4th, Friday, March 4th. So, so it's like, I wish I could assure you international fans out there that Picard Season 2 will air on Amazon Prime Video. But I know there are some fans out there who are just like, okay, they did it to us once, they're going to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, some people are going to have their guard up, and I think it's for the right reasons. Like, that was a little shocking. And as long as they stay transparent about that stuff rather than bringing it up like week of, being like, by the way, this is happening this week. I think things will be fine. But I think most people are just trying to not get their hopes up.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I understand. I mean, I empathize with these people. I do. I completely am empathetic to them. So I completely understand if you are just that anxious that they will do it again. But, I mean, from what I understand, Amazon Prime Video outside the United States and Canada have already started to promote Picard and stuff like that. And from what I understand, Netflix never gave a season 4 premiere date when it was supposed to be on Netflix. It was just implied, so that it would come the day after the U.S. premiere of every episode. It was just implied. They never gave a date. So that is probably why. So that's what I understand. So about that. So Picard Season 2 will air on Amazon Prime Video on Friday, March 4th. With the season premiere. We don't know the title of it yet and stuff like that. So yeah. And they have also released 10 images from the first 2 episodes of Picard Season 2. There is a lot to see there. I mean, there's some pictures of him, Stewart, with John Delancey as Q and stuff like that, and stuff in the alternate timeline, which from what I understand, it starts right up in the first episode.
Yep.
The totalitarian universe. So Yeah, so we'll definitely be talking about that later on. And we do have a series premiere date for Strange New Worlds. Finally,
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. So and we know that they have also been renewed for a second season. So I mean, granted, that was like one of the worst kept secrets ever. I mean, with Jonathan Frakes saying that he was on the short list for season 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of the worst kept secrets ever. It was announced that season 1 will premiere on May 5th, but then it also got renewed for a second year. So
yeah, way to spoil it for us all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I bet you we'll get a trailer pretty soon.
Yeah.
I would say probably roughly about when Discovery is over with.
Yeah.
In mid-March. So that's what I'm guessing. We'll get a trailer, we'll get promotions and stuff like that on Picard episodes, because if you watch anything on Paramount Plus, that is Paramount Plus original series or something like that, you'll get one ad, which is just like an episode, like a promo for something that's airing on Paramount Plus, and then it goes right into your episode. I mean, people are pissed off about that too, but
yeah.
I mean, it's the way they're cross promoting their shows. It's brilliant. I think it's a good idea. So, I mean, it's not like Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or Amazon or HBO Max, but they're trying to do something unique, and that's okay. I mean, that's fine with me. I can live with this one ad. I mean, if it did, I can live with it. So, and Lower Decks Season 3 will premiere this summer. You don't know the date. It says summer 2022. And they said they also have renewed it for a 4th year, which is kind of like, like we said before, that is actually standard practice for animated series to be renewed 2 seasons at a time. So if it's renewed 2 seasons at a time, it gives the animators time to do the storyboards, do the animation and stuff like that for every episode of the 2 seasons and stuff like that. So we do have 4 years of Lower Decks coming around. And I forgot about this. I almost forgot about this. We also, with the renewal of season 5 for Discovery is now the longest running Trek show of the 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of seasons aired, not actual episode count. So, yeah, because that is the first 5th season of a Star Trek show since Voyager, 24 years ago. So, in 1988, it was renewed for a 5th season. That is the last time we got any sort of season 5 in Star Trek before this year. How crazy is that?
It is insane. I'm like, it doesn't feel like that long.
No, it doesn't. And it'll have 55 episodes by the end of this 4th year, and then another 10 episodes on top of that. That's 65 episodes over a course of a 5-year span. That is bravo. Even with the pandemic.
Efficient. Yeah, it's efficient despite the shortcomings of the pandemic.
Yes, and it was all announced the day after Martin Luther King Day. Granted, it probably would have been announced on the 17th of January, at 1701 day. Our overseas fans like to say, the day first, the number of the day first, then the month. So January 17th, 1701. So that's probably what they were trying to do, but they couldn't do it because they wanted to, Martin Luther King has his own day, which was on the 17th this year. So, and they have also updated us. The people who behind the Motion Picture Directors Edition have updated us on what's going on. They're doing some technical things with it now, which is like new color technical advances and stuff like that. So, including, I mentioned this before, they are adding footage that they had originally planned to do for the original Director's Edition 21 years ago in 2001, but didn't have time or they didn't have the money. Now they do. So they're going to add some things that they were trying to do back in 2001. So yeah, but we don't know a date for that yet. But and stuff like that. Oh, speaking of the movies, we have some news from the new movie coming out. Simon Pegg has actually met with Matt Shakman, the director of the new upcoming film for holiday Christmas 2023. And he says that he's met with him. He's just waiting on like any sort of confirmation from, I guess it's from J.J. Abrams. So that they're going to do it. He's hopeful that it will be the next Kelvin timeline film.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's been crazy with the movie series since the end of Beyond. I mean, we've had false starts.
I know. It just keeps. I am not getting my hopes up because it seems like we keep getting like just a little like sliver of hope, and then it's like actually they're switching producers, or this has been delayed, or like we actually want to find somebody else.
Yes, exactly. So we've had a lot of false starts in the last 6 years. So and stuff like that. Like it's crazy. So and stuff like that. Oh, and also The Wrath of Khan will be coming back to theaters for 3 nights in September to celebrate its 40th anniversary. Man, I can't believe The Wrath of Khan is now 40 years old. So it'll be the 4K. It'll be the 4K Ultra HD director's cut that was released last year on that box set. If you purchased it, you can just watch it at home. But if you want to watch the experience of seeing it in the theater when you weren't around back in '82, which I'm thinking about actually doing it. So Fathom Events and Turner Classic Movies are doing a 3-day event of the Wrath of Khan. It will be the weekend of the 4th and 5th of September, and then the following the 8th of September. So, which is a Friday. So they're going to have the limited engagement about that. I've only seen it appear once for a movie theater in Plymouth. Right now, but there'll be probably a lot more once.
Yeah, there's a lot of different theaters that like to like get in on playing old movies or doing events around series.
Yes. So that's what's happening and stuff like that. So I guess that's about it for the news. I think I'm not missing anything. I'm not sure. Am I missing anything? Oh yeah, I forgot about. Oh, I forgot to mention this last time because it was still relatively new. Anson Mount is a daddy.
Oh.
He had his baby daughter was born on my birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah. It was So I seen the picture of it. Of the kid. It's so cute.
Yeah.
I mean, babies are cute. Exciting. So I forgot to mention that last time. So he's a daddy now. Yeah. So he's got to juggle fatherhood and also be captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
When he has to go back next month for later on this month for filming of season 2.
And I live the busy dad life.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Picard Season 2 trailer 4. Season 2 trailer 4. Yeah, this came out about a week after it was announced. Came out about a week after the announcement of the premiere date of Picard, and it is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of tidbits of news. We now know when they're going to be traveling to. What year? 2024.
Yeah, which instantly made me think of the Bell riots.
Yep, and that's what a lot of fans were. Yep. And from what I understand, they're going to a part of it. From what I understand, like analysis of the trailer says that analysis of the trailer says that Raffi is going to be pushed into, going to be thrown into the sanctuary district in Los Angeles and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll get that. So we'll get some tie-ins to Deep Space Nine's past tense two-parter. Mm-hmm. Yep. So 2024 is when they're going to be traveling to. We also have some technically old Starfleet ships in the first part of the trailer, with the old Nova and Steamrunner class starships that were featured in Voyager and First Contact and stuff like that. They were seen in that movie and in Voyager. Yeah, so I think they learned their lesson from the copy and paste fleet at the end of season 1 of Picard, which had a lot of Starfleet ships and a lot of canonical. That was one thing I see a lot of criticism for, and rightfully so, is the copy and paste fleet over the synth planet in the finale of season 1. So I think they've learned their lesson. Because they're doing
going to be pretty nitpicky about that. Do your research if you're going to be referencing actual ship builds.
Yes. So with that, and we actually heard the Borg Queen speak and stuff like that. That was
who is that being played by this time?
Annie Wersching. Annie Wersching. Yep. She is the third actress to ever play her. So
looking nice and spooky for the trailer. Get to see a nice floor crawl. I was like, oh no. I'm like, this is going to be a little scary, I think.
So definitely going to be doing the swing shot around the sun, Star Trek 4 kind of vibe there. And I heard that one of the inspirations behind this time travel story was Star Trek 4. So it was definitely with the travel back in time and stuff like that. That I wonder how they're going to do that. That's kind of cool. They're using the Borg Queen to travel back in time.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing like what brings both Picard and Q and the Borg Queen to 2024, which I mean is a monumental moment because of the Bell riots. But it just makes me think there must be something happening, because there is an alternate reality where if that had not happened, the Federation would never be created. And I think maybe that's like what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe as like trying to quell chances of stopping the Federation from ever appearing to make sure the Borg can exist in the future, trying to go back and stop any chance of the Federation ever happening.
So but maybe something happened with the Bell riots that caused this alternate reality that Q started.
Yep.
In which the Federation is more ruthless and totalitarian.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they're very from like I've seen from the last few trailers, including this one, that they are very intolerant towards aliens.
Yep.
This Federation is. This version of the Federation. So, I mean, granted, it might be a totally different name than the United Federation of Planets. It might be something totally different, which would be okay. I mean, I am perfectly fine with that. And there was one big thing of news, the big thing out of that trailer too. There was in Picard's Chateau study, the painting that was on the Enterprise D's ready room, which was actually a painting made by Andy Probert, who designed the Enterprise D, was altered in this timeline. And he looks at the painting, Picard looks at the painting, and it's a totally different version of the Enterprise D. This one is very warlike and stuff like that. It's like it has a bunch of phaser banks, bunch of photon torpedo banks,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And apparently was fighting. Someone making a guess that this painting was made to defect fighting the Borg.
Yeah. Well, and that's what
so
makes there seems to be some alternate timeline things that will be being visited about the Borg, because Seven shows up in the trailer both with her eyepiece and without that. Like you
yes,
see her and reacting to it like it's not there anymore. So like knowledge that it has disappeared for some reason. So I feel like they're going to be experiencing like actual alterations of time based
yeah,
on their decision making in this season.
oh, yes, yes, and you know, here's the big thing: we knew back in 2020 when Picard Season One was being promoted that Patrick Stewart had guest starred on The View and had invited Whoopi Goldberg to join him on his adventure for Season Two. Well, she happily accepted, of course, because him and her and Stewart are friends,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we finally get to see Guinan for the first time
Yep.
since Nemesis. That was the last time we saw her. Was at the wedding of Will Riker and Deanna Troi. So that was actually the last time we saw Guinan before this season. So technically, Whoopi Goldberg has not played Guinan for approximately 20 years. So, and stuff like that. We have not seen Guinan in 20 years at this point. So, and she apparently is aware of the alterations of the timeline because we obviously a nod to yesterday's Enterprise when she was the only one who was aware that the timeline had changed and no one else was aware of it. So,
and her also saying to Picard that, you know, his like that it's not written in the stars, like where he's meant to be. That tells me that she has some awareness that there are things going on that he needs to tend to in this time. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out or why she's there, and if her and Q are both on the same page, like they're both aware of something that needs to happen, or like, and why. And Q always has a reason for doing something. Like even as much as he loves to say that he's torturing Picard in a most lighthearted way, everything he's ever done when he's interacted with humans has been for the benefit of them all. Like he has some sort of appreciation of humans enough that he feels that it's important for him to step in and be a steward to the human race. And so it tells me that there's something awry in the future that he feels is important that only Picard can help out with.
Yeah, and also, you know, and he did officially say the road not taken, not.
Yeah, and so that tells me too that this is something where he's probably, thinking about, it's hard to think beyond three-dimensional terms about time and what Q actually is, but I'm assuming he has awareness of multiple different timelines and the past and present and future outcomes of each of those, and then noticed something was wrong enough to be like, this is important and I don't want to see that happen, so let's try to change that.
Yes, and teach Picard a lesson.
Yep.
I think that's the one thing that he wants to teach Picard is a lesson in humanity.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And that's probably why he's altering this timeline to this totalitarian regime and stuff like that, and to teach him a lesson about probably about tolerance or something like that. I don't know. Well, guess we'll find out. But I mean, all these alternate universe things, I'm excited.
I am too.
About this.
And I like seeing the tie-in of other major events. Like, you know, what I've liked about Picard is they've touched all the like actual historic moments that make the future of Star Trek, you know, and so it'd be cool to go back to the Bell Raids, which I always felt after seeing Deep Space Nine, that was such a huge thing to me because it seems really tangible and like a realistic thing of like, I could see the future going that way and I could see having to deal with something that way too. So to see them go back this far where it's a recognizable state of state of being is for society, and how that's going to play out into the future that they now exist in. It'd be really cool to see what message they have about the future that we can get to with Star Trek.
Yes, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens regarding that. It's just crazy that we're getting this like alternate reality, and I mean that's what Star Trek always has done. Like done time travel and alternate realities pretty well. I mean, and stuff like that, and yeah,
looking forward to it. I'm like,
yes, totally.
I'm banking.
March
I'm
can't come
definitely.
fast enough.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm excited about it. Now that it's like I know officially the time period, and it's like, okay, we know what this is going to be about. So
yeah,
or have a better idea now of like how this is going to go and where they're showing up, because that was my biggest thing. It's like, what state of the 21st century are they showing up in? Like, because that's very important, because post 2024, it's like we start seeing the origins of the Federation. But in this case, it looks like they're not reaching that point, and it's like, interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy that we're getting this. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see this. March 3rd can't come fast enough.
Yep.
Yep, and it's just like I don't know. It's I don't know what else to say. I had a lot of things to say about this. This was definitely the action-packed trailer that everyone was expecting. The other ones were like subtle, but this one was
snippets, and you'd really have to like pick them apart, like very artsy. Like that first one where I mean, it was just Q speaking, and then there's the scenes of his study, and it's like, what does this have to do with anything? Is it all like symbols, like based on what they showed? Like,
yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get mentions of. Well, I bet you we'll get a mention of the Bell riots. Bell riots, obviously.
I'm betting that that's going to be pretty important. I assume they're going to be like late 2024 then, like, because I always remember the Bell riots, because when they arrived on the Bell riots, it's on my birthday, August 30th, and like in Deep Space Nine for that, and it takes over the course of a few days. So I'd be interested in knowing like when they're arriving. Was this after, before, during?
Yeah,
they're gonna see Deep Space Nine, but oh wow, look at that! They didn't actually. This is the timeline where they did not actually succeed in helping with the riots.
Yeah, it could be that. Like, I can just see like mentions of the Bell riots, and also the fact is that Cisco had to impersonate Gabriel Bell to preserve the timeline. Yep. So I have a feeling that that's going to be mentioned somehow, because and stuff like that. I don't know who would be probably mentioning it. Probably either Picard or probably Seven,
someone who would recognize him or know that that's like what happened, because it's kind of like unbeknownst to many that it's like they didn't know that except for the crew themselves. So it's like, oh, you were the reason that actually happened.
Yeah, it's like and it's crazy. So it's gonna be fun to watch, especially when they're trying to get. The whole funny scene from the third trailer regarding escaping. And it was Seven and Raffi, and it's like, oh, you guys know what it is? Girardi!
Yeah.
It's like, Girardi, shut up!
Yeah.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely good, seeing that. And Girardi! It's like, come on. I have actually started to rewatch Picard Season 1 in anticipation for this. And
I'm going to be planning to do that here. I wanted to try to do it, like time it out where when I'm watching the last episode, it'd be the day before then. So
yeah. I mean, I forgot how good it was and stuff like that. I'm still kind of mad at Kirsten Beyer for killing Icheb, but a little mad at her for that. But, maybe because she was expecting Manyo and Tarame play him, because, he can be
maybe the actions of this season will undo any of that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that
how the first season went is just like that's actually the road less taken, and this was the true end of the trial of like, all right, you saw how all of that went. now we're going to undo all of it because I'm teaching you a lesson, Picard.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that, I think some of the things from the events from season 1 will be undone.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Picard becoming human again will probably be number one.
Yep.
So
I think that's the one that I think I'm most expecting, is that somehow he was going to be doing something about that.
Yeah, it's like, what? Wait, what? You're not a human anymore? Okay, I'm changing the timeline to teach you a lesson.
Are you sure about that? Yeah.
Are you sure you want to be an android? Because I could teach you a lesson right now.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking. I know that the third trailer had, Q, I'm not ready for your bullshit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I know that Stuart. Yeah, Stuart doesn't like to swear. I know that he said that he doesn't like to swear, but
when Q comes around, he has to.
He has to. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I know that they've been teasing season 3 a little bit already regarding. SFX magazine has come out with an article that previewed season 2. They interviewed a lot of the cast and crew. They interviewed Terry Matalas, who is now the showrunner of season 2 and 3, because Michael Chabon left to do his own thing, but he's still there in season 2 as a producer. But he was the showrunner for the first season, and now it's Terry Matalas and stuff like that. And Akiva Goldsman, they interviewed him and Stewart, and they caused Trek Central. It was another news information site. They do a lot of factual things. Well, this past week, they had done a little bit of a goof and said Picard will end after 3 years, which, yes, Stewart did say that. He said, quote, we're set up for 3 seasons of this, 3 years of this show.
Yep.
But then SFX magazine had a quote from him saying, like, we're on season 3, episode 8. We're getting close to wrap up the series. Well, series and season are the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that Stewart's British. When they have seasons, it's called series and stuff like that. So, and they took that quote a little out of context.
Yeah.
And ran with it and said, like, okay, they are going to be ending after 3 seasons. Some other sites picked it up and said the same thing. I mean, it's pretty much, they had to be called out on their information. Misinformation. It was kind of like an interesting conversation. I saw the screenshots on Twitter.
Yeah.
That they had like a little clarification kind of argument. Going like, that's not what they said. So we were there. That's not what they said. So and stuff like that. And the actual quote is, for the future, God only knows. I mean, so it'd be interesting to see about season 3 when it's expected next year. What's going to happen with that and that? Is it going to end after that, or stuff like that? I mean, granted, if it's a 3 year show, it's fine with me. If Stewart says I'm done, I don't want to do it anymore.
It's kind of on him if he just doesn't feel like doing it. It's like, well, better right around that because you kind of need him.
Yeah, and I've seen theories actually. That, if Stewart were to no longer be with Star Trek and still do Picard, I mean, we could potentially have the end of season 3 be like a time travel to the Lost Era and do like Picard on the Stargazer and stuff like that. The Lost Era is an unexplored era in Star Trek. The years after Star Trek 6 to the beginning of Next Generation. That's like an 80-year gap there. So, and we don't know anything about it. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine of storytelling. I mean, granted, yes, Discovery's original concept. So going into that era, Discovery's concept was supposed to be an anthology show, like American Horror Story, like one season dedicated to one crew.
Yep.
and so on and so forth. Well, CBS had to say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. It kind of sucks that they're calling the shot, but whatever.
So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen is, that could potentially happen. We can get a younger Picard in a different era and still be called Star Trek, cool. and still be called Star Trek Picard.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason as Stewart says no, and they change the direction of the series, if it continues past its third year, just go time travel into the past.
Yeah.
Do something about his time.
That is what's kind of cool about this whole series, though, is it's like the first series where there's not an official crew and captain and ship dedicated to the series. Like it's just kind of a loosely run experience surrounding Picard. So who knows what they can roll with that, since they don't have to write within the limitations of having a crew and dedicated ship and timeline too. Now they can play around with time, and it's a confirmed thing for that. So I feel like there's a lot that can be done around this.
Yep. Yep. So I think that's about it. Any final thoughts, Kenzie?
I just would like to hear what people's predictions are. I actually I've been trying to read a little bit about it. I haven't seen a lot of people write tons of predictions, at least where I've been reading. So I just want to hear more about what people are thinking, especially after this past trailer. So let us know.
Yeah, definitely. So next week, episode 37, we're going to be talking about the Star Trek cookbook.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Thanks to you to Wes for getting that for me so we can nerd out about food.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So until next week, take care and live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.